Hello to all the geek enthusiasts and nerd
All about
aficionados.
Mars.
Mest 5150 here from MaliceCast Season 2, Episode 9. Let's get it started. This is the podcast for all things nerd, brought to you by the website malice-corp.com. All the geeks and nerds that are over there writing articles and editing articles and putting things up for you guys to watch. We gather together to talk about all the current nerd news that's going on out in the interwebs stratosphere on the so if you guys see an article that you would love to discuss and talk with us about, make sure to submit that to us over at malice-corp.com or even on Twitter at MaliceCast, and we will look into getting those articles into our cast so that we can talk about them and nerd out on them together. With that being said, I appreciate everybody coming back and joining us again for a new cast. Thank you to everybody that subscribed last month and rejoined the subscription on the Twitch Prime accounts. We appreciate you very, very, very much. But let's talk about who we got on the cast. We have me, myself, Mess5150. Also joining me, my co-host for this week, Mr. Big Papa Matt.
Hello, how you doing? Shout out Swamp Thing Winter Special. Get it.
Swamp.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. We're already talking comic books.
Hell yeah.
How long
Swamp
did it take
Thing,
you to read it?
gotta go, dude. It's not running right now, so the Winter Special is phenomenal. Like, you gotta get on it.
We also have joining us again, shining the bat emblem mightily, Mr. Masonic Vader.
Good evening, everybody. I heard you ask him a question of how long it took him to read that comic book. Unfortunately, he doesn't read. And
I just look at the pretty pictures. I don't know.
Yeah.
It takes hours sometimes.
Yeah, and I know people haven't given me any grief yet about my shirt because everyone knows I'm Superman, but I never said I hated Batman. And this, beacon in the house tonight.
And I also want to welcome in the chat room. We have Super Hoovy and Nut joining us in the chat. She's not here on the cast today, but she's there. We also have Jack Malice, our person in charge of the ones and twos and producing to make sure that we look somewhat professional. Polyfuse, welcome to the chat. And I thought I saw Red Meepaw in there. Yep,
You did.
and welcome Red Meepaw. So, and Son of Maku, but that's just somebody. That's your alter ego in your head, isn't it?
I mean, here's the thing. I have to continue to keep my follow list alive and longer, and I have to build on that with different names. So.
It's all the different voices. That's just a different personality in the chat. We also have joining us again 3 months in a row, Mr. Nudie Rudy.
Woo, woo.
What's going on, everybody? Glad to be back and good to be here talking all things nerd.
Awesome. And also Igor in his dark.
The applause. I live for the applause, live for the applause. Shut up again.
And thank you for joining us as you're running away and leaving the cast.
Why is
It was
our
good seeing you.
subscription just went up, man? What is that? So unsubscribe.
I mean, I just saw our viewers just jumped a couple, so it's working. Keep it up. Let's see what else you got.
Well, apparently they think you're a superhero, Big Papa Matt, because they said every superhero has to have an alias. So.
I mean, I 100% agree with that, so can't deny it.
Are you that guy that wears the hockey pads in Batman? Thinks he's Batman, gets eaten by a dog.
Nope.
Casey Jones? I love that guy.
My other alter ego is Casey Jones. Yes, thank you very much for ruining that for me now there, Igor. I appreciate you for ruining that identity. So I'll create another one. It's just that easy. So.
And if you're seeing the chat, Red Meepaw, that's a different cast altogether for what she's asking for.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Well, if we get enough subscribers, maybe it won't be.
There's someone called Nudie Rudy on this thing for a reason.
Let's get into it. So let us know in the chat room what you guys have been geeking out on. Whether it be movies, TV shows, comic books, whatnot. We're going to find out what we've been geeking out on. Me, myself, I have been going back and deciding to re-binge all the old Hobbit and Lord of the Rings films. So just got an itch to do it and started from the Hobbit and am going through it. And I still like him. I know a lot of people.
I'm just glad you're still alive. That you went to the Hobbit first and didn't commit suicide. So
Yeah.
that's good. Glad to still see you here and hosting.
I
No wonder why
try
it
and
took you a
figure
while
out
to
how
come.
many, because knowing the main actor in there and how often he flips off the camera, I'm trying to figure out which scenes he's flipping off the camera right before they actually go with the puzzle shoot. Makes it a much more interesting thing. And then I'm also picturing Benedict Cumberbatch crawling around on his stomach acting like Smaug. So since he went all in on the character. But
I now have Leonard Nimoy in my background singing Ballad of the Hobbit, you know.
Yes.
and
Little hobbit of them all.
Jack Malice just finished the Altered Carbon novel, so he can let us know how the novel versus the Netflix show is. And of course, lots and lots of Monster Hunter. I think he told us he only has like 12 side missions left to do, so I guess he's going to be having to create more characters. Yeah. What have you been geeking out on, Igor?
Well, other than I actually found Charlize Theron doing an interview / hot wing eating contest at the same time. Pretty interesting.
Hot one.
Hot ones.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic YouTube channel.
I have, for reasons unbeknownst to myself, just been diving straight into ancient Irish poetry. And I highly, highly recommend University of Dublin's choral arrangements. Oh my goodness, they sound freaking amazing. I don't want to say I've been listening to Mo Yilamar as performed by them too often, but yeah, I couldn't pronounce that at the beginning of the week.
Oh.
It's Gaelic for my gallant hero.
And we're getting recitements from Super Hoovian in the chat room. Yeah.
I knew one of y'all would know.
What have you been up to, Nudie Rudy?
Playing Phone Destroyer actually reignited my South Park love, and I decided to pick up Stick of Truth and the Fractured Butthole. Indeed. So decided to start with Stick of Truth, and
I think you missed
good
a comment
way through that and loving it, actually.
There's a lot of emphasis on that butt right there.
Exactly, yeah. Definitely. I really enjoy it. Fractured Butthole. Yeah.
See how he looks up like, oh man, that's wonderful.
And
right there on the wall.
Welcome Marley Bond to the chat on that note. So, and they said that you would love something called the Fractured Butthole. So,
yes, I would.
Yeah,
frequently do.
What about you, Ken? What have you been geeking, or Masonic Vader? What have you been geeking out on?
Oh, a couple things, man. I'm excited. My next article went on there for the Futile Gesture. Assuming it's great biopic on Netflix. If you haven't read it yet, please read it, but then go watch it. It's a phenomenal, once again, biopic on the National Lampoon magazine. Also been trying to run on Destiny 2. I haven't met up with Igor yet on there yet, but I've been going around shooting people, headshotting, good times. And and now I'm geeking out because I read the article first thing this morning about one of my favorite directors, which I'm sure we'll be talking about soon enough, Jon Favreau, jumping into Star Wars. I can't wait to talk about that bad boy.
Yep. That's something we're excited to discuss. Last but not least, Mr. Epic Beard, Big Papa Matt.
Oh man,
I know you're geeking out on something from yesterday, so
there's so much. It's just been a great week. It's been a great start of a month. Usually March tends to be like a little slow kind of news piece, things like that. Maybe get some teasers here and there. And Nintendo went nuts yesterday with the Nintendo Direct. They had some great stuff, some big announcements. Some new DLC for Splatoon 2, South Park Fractured But Whole coming to the Switch, so you can have that mobile. So now you can offend people on a train now, Nudie Rudy. So you can turn that volume up and let that just go wild.
Enjoy that Fractured
Could you in a boat?
Keep those awkward looks coming. But more than anything is we got the teaser of all teasers and the nerdgasm of all nerdgasms yesterday, which was the announcement of Super Smash Brothers for the Switch. I went nuts for probably a good hour about it. Like my heart was racing, my fingers were sweaty, and now all I want to do is like take some, give me some cryogenic freezing and not wake up till that's out, because it's going to be a hard summer till that comes out.
They are asking in the chat room, did he just say he fractures buttholes on the regular? Did you? What about you, Big Papa Matt? Did you go fracture some buttholes off the excitement of that?
Well, you know, that's a tale for another day. That's a Thursday night kind of adventure, and we record on Fridays, so you'll have to come and join us on another talk show for that answer.
Let's just say he has to be cryogenically frozen because he's probably a little blue, you know, a little blue.
I'm hoping that there will be a cure by the time I wake up. Let's just put it that way.
Was the announcement yesterday just hey, it's coming, or
no? I mean, it was the announcement of actual Smash Brothers itself was just a teaser and said 2018. It's all we got.
Okay. So we're not nothing about characters in the game, or
the only characters that were technically announced were Splatoon's. The Squidlings are going to be a part of the new roster of characters, but they showed nothing else besides the emblem, the fire, and then 2018.
Yeah, I saw the
the Inklings. I'm sorry, the Inklings, not Squidlings. Sorry, all the Nintendo fans. If you send your hate mail, send it to jack.malice@gmail. Thank you.
You just lost your Nintendo cred.
I know. That's why I had to get it back.
They're gonna come. Yeah, they're gonna be very, very angry. Yeah. So I mean, that's exciting. We knew it was gonna eventually come to the Switch. I mean, that's one that you had to expect, was just waiting till the day they would do it.
Well, funny thing is, so shameless plug for the Nerd Mosh Pit. We literally recorded an episode. We're talking trash on Nintendo that they've announced nothing this year. We were mad at them, like, how dare you, Nintendo? You have nothing coming out. The indie games are going to have to save your ass this year. And then the next day, less than 24 hours later, they come and drop Smash Brothers on us, and now we look like assholes for releasing that. So thank you, Nintendo, for announcing something huge like that. I can't believe it. I'm so excited for it. A bunch of other games got announced for Nintendo. I recommend going and checking that out. You can, check out from our website, things like that. I think we'll have to put something up so you guys can come check us out on MaliceCore as well for those.
Well, speaking of Nerd Mosh Pit, that's another one of our mini podcasts that is part of the Malice Corp network. You can listen to Nerd Mosh Pit on iTunes or on Stitcher or on podcast.com. Along with that, you can listen to the audio version of this cast, and you can listen to the audio version of Quest for 100. And I want to talk about one other thing that Big Papa Matt here has been geeking out on, because I saw a tweet from him about a movie that he saw that luckily nobody else was in the
So you misread this tweet. You misread this tweet. It was actually a reply to one of our followers of the show who had seen it. And I was telling him, thankfully, those empty theaters keep people from having to know you've watched such films.
Okay. I thought Big Papa Matt was saying he went and saw.
You misread that.
Yeah, I thought he went and saw 50 Shades Freed.
Nope. Almost as bad. I watched Peter Rabbit, though, and that was rough. So thankfully, what's her name? I can't think of it right now. She's amazing and wonderful, but Domhnall Gleeson's also in there as well. So they kind of saved the day from that being a complete snooze fest.
Yeah.
I think this is the happiest Matt's been since Spice World.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now. So I totally got, I was totally just, I'm trying to think of the word. I was discriminated against in the theater because the lady went to go take my ticket and she's like, "Oh, Black Panther first, Peter Rabbit down the hall and to the left." I was like, "Oh man." Like, that's rough.
In the chat room, they're saying they don't know if Peter Rabbit's any better than going to actually 50 Shades. So
not by much. But you know what? I'm taking it as a win. Okay.
The acting's better.
Yeah, absolutely. They're also a lot better at entering the hole, if you know what I'm saying. That Peter Rabbit.
Oh my gosh!
Is it fractured?
Actually, as a matter of fact, it does get fractured by a lightning bolt later on in the movie. Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! There's a fractured hole in Peter Rabbit.
Poor Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail.
Oh, God. So much for trying to be professional. Welcome to the cast, guys. So let's get into what we usually like to do here, and that's discuss all things nerd with you guys in the chat room on some of the nerd news stories. So with further ado, the first nerd news story we want to talk about, we've been kind of trashing DC Extended Universe the last couple weeks with the choices that are being made and stuff like that, but a very, very strong choice got made this last week and got confirmed. They finally got the directors for Flashpoint. So Flashpoint is not being put on the back burner. It is going to get made. And they have John Francis Daly and Jonathan Goldstein are officially the directors of Flashpoint. If one of those names sounds familiar, John Francis Daly, you see him in acting in things, which I didn't realize he was an actor until I saw his picture, but he's been on Bones, he's been on Freaks and Geeks, as Igor pointed out earlier before the cast started. But these two co-wrote Spider-Man Homecoming. They just directed the comedy Game Night, which I've heard is fantastic. They wrote Horrible Bosses. They wrote the Vacation movie, the new one. A lot of cred there. I want to know what your guys' thoughts on. Does this get you kind of excited for Flashpoint? Do you think they'll be able to pull this character off right?
Well, I think they did a good job for announcing it now, because as we were bashing them last week, I think we weren't the only ones doing it. And I think they needed to do something big to kind of save it. I mean, you've got a lot of stuff going on. They actually leaked out some footage from Shazam, or not some footage, from some pictures of it. So they're trying to, strengthen their spot now and trying to salvage what they've kind of dropped just over the last 3 or 4 months.
And I got to say, those pictures on Shazam of Zachary Levi as Shazam, I'm loving those pictures. So I think the suit's iconic. They're not changing it. That looks awesome. But yeah, good point. Getting back there, what do you think, Nudie Rudy and Igor, about this announcement?
I'm happy to hear anything about Flashpoint. We were really worried it wasn't, going to come out. It's just falling flat. So, with the credit of these directors and everything, I'm definitely willing to see what they're going to put out, and happy to hear the news. And
being the big comic book fan you are, Igor,
I'm intrigued on 2 points already.
Okay.
I'm intrigued on 2 points already. One, for who they are, like you said, because that says a lot about where they might be going with the tone. And the Flashpoint comic is actually kind of dark, not in a gruesome way, but just in a much more serious and gritty sort of way. And as I might have seen in my articles, might not, but I know you guys know, I'm kind of damn tired of the prevalence of grim and gritty superheroes all over the place, especially with somebody like the Flash. Nah. So that gives me hope there, as well as makes me wonder. But the other thing is that if you're not familiar with the comic or aren't a CW fan, you know how likely that, you wouldn't know how likely it is that movie is going to be somehow themed around reality resetting in a big way.
Mm-hmm.
What could DC and Warner be doing that for?
Well, yeah,
I'm
you
just
can
saying, as long
recast
as Wonder
everybody.
Woman's still okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I think will happen, is you could end up recasting everybody but Gal Gadot and Jason Momoa, and I'm assuming there'll be a new Batman and potentially a new Joker.
Come on, Henry Cavill's good. Keep him on there.
Yeah,
I want to keep him too, because he's actually been specifically campaigning for doing better movies.
Yes, he has.
So he may absolutely stay. Plus,
I want to
The Man
get
from U.N.C.L.E. was amazing.
I want to get Big Papa Matt's thoughts on this hiring, because he was super in love with Spider-Man Homecoming, from what I remember, and them being known more for comedy, seeing what they did with Spider-Man Homecoming, re-getting that started. Jack Malice, our producer, said that he's not a big fan of Spider-Man. He didn't love the movies, but he liked Spider-Man Homecoming. It made him actually like the movie characters and stuff. So they did a fantastic job with that. But what do you think on that, Big Papa Matt? I mean, are you excited with this, or? And you saw Game Night too, so you actually said something about Game Night on how they directed that.
Game Night was phenomenal, and one of the underrated parts about Game Night, and one of the things that I know I haven't talked about much on any of the casts, but the actual action sequences, when they start up with using the Steadicam and using the long shots for action sequences in Game Night, it's phenomenal. It's some of the best work I've seen in a long time, and it's in a comedy. And they have
Nice.
great chases, they have great fight scenes, and they have these really great sweeping sceneries in houses, in car chases. I mean, and it's just great work. And to hear that these guys are going to be attached to Flashpoint has me nothing but excited for it, especially considering, you know, one of the reasons why I loved Spider-Man Homecoming so much is because they've created one of the best villains, in my opinion, on the screen right now since Heath Ledger. I think Keaton crushed Vulture. I think it was one of the best we've seen, and Killmonger recently is the only thing that's even gotten close to it, in my opinion. That has me excited. I am super stoked for that. I'm super stoked for Flashpoint with these people attached to it because they know how to make people have skin in the game. That was the first superhero movie I saw, and I was worried for a hero. Once Keaton was in that scene, in those moments, it got really tense, and I don't think you get that from a lot of actions, those superhero movies anymore, because we all know what's going to happen in the end eventually.
Yeah. And Jack Malice points out Flashpoint isn't the only real Dark Flash storyline. He's hoping to see some great Flash one-liners from the writing, and I think we really will get that. They know how to write that comedic approach and still keep it a little serious on stuff, as we've learned with Homecoming. But he also said there's the Black Flash and the Black Runner stories too. So, and not a lot of love for Ben Affleck in the chat room right now.
You know, uncomfortable places like Volkswagens. Phenomenal shot there, Mess. Phenomenal shot. And you don't know we're talking about people listening to this at home because you're not in the chat room.
Yeah. So you should be here on Twitch, 8 p.m. Pacific every Friday. We talk all things nerd and all the nerd news.
Or
stating off the
what
stories
Batman might be doing in the back of a Volkswagen.
Oh, good Lord. And stating off the stories that Jack's bringing up, the other dark stories from the Flash, if you want to catch up on those, a fantastic source for that is Turbo Comics out in Idaho. It is the premier comic shop out there. Reach out to them, find them on Facebook. They will look for any comics that you are looking to find to fill up the gaps in your comic book collection and get them out to you. So definitely check those guys out. They're a great bunch of guys. We'll be having one of them here on the cast in the next couple of weeks to talk about some comic book stuff. So check them out. Turbo Comics in Idaho. Moving on, something that Masonic Vader, you were talking about being a little excited about. New announcement for Star Wars. It seems like there's a new announcement for Star Wars almost every week nowadays. This time, really, really exciting one. They announced that Jon Favreau is going to be doing a Star Wars series for the new streaming service for Disney. I know you wanted to get into it, Masonic Vader. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, you have to first give Star Wars props, or Lucasfilm, Disney, whoever the hell you want to give it to. He's the godfather of Marvel Universe. I mean, quite frankly, if it wasn't for Iron Man, I don't think Marvel would be where they were at right now. Iron Man kicked it all off. I mean, granted, Hulk did a good start, but Iron Man is what punched it in. And to have that talent get into Star Wars, because right now Star Wars is in a flux situation. They've got one more movie until the original series is practically done. They're talking about starting up new series with a whole different area of the universe. They're trying to get this Disney Channel started. They're coming with ideas. Rebels has finished. Their one main project that's been keeping Star Wars afloat for a little bit in between the movies is now done, potentially doing some other stuff. So to have this announcement on top of having Rian Johnson talking about doing his other movies, but having him involved in this is just insane. That's showing that Disney is committing to making Star Wars something better and trying to open it up to just not the Luke Skywalker or the Skywalker series, but to really show there's something else out there, and they're really committing to it with him.
Well, yeah, and that's what Kathleen Kennedy has been pushing this whole time, is that this galaxy's bigger than just the Skywalkers. So they're trying to create this bigger galaxy. I mean, when you take Favreau's credits into consideration, like you said, Iron Man, he directed Iron Man 2. He executive produced Avengers, so he was really big in getting that all kicked off. The live action Jungle Book was fantastic and has started a lot more live actions that look really good coming from Disney. He's no stranger to Star Wars. He was a voice in the Clone Wars. He's also going to appear in Han Solo. So both his acting credits and his directing and writing credits, I think, are fantastic. I mean, come on, he was the fat guy in Rudy. So, I mean, what would you guys want to see him do? It's a live action series. What is there any kind of storyline that you'd like to see Favreau specifically kind of focus on or do himself for in the Star Wars universe?
I really want to see Knights of the Old Republic happen. I really do. I think the game really did a good job of kind of throwing it out there, but I really think they could do something with that. And I hope they jump on it. Well,
and I think that's what the other person that you brought up, where they're giving him his own trilogy, the director of the last episode,
Rian Johnson. Yeah,
Rian Johnson. I think he's going to end up doing Knights of the Old Republic. I'm curious with something different from Favreau, but yeah, I think that's something we all want to see.
Yeah, no, I news to me though, because I heard originally Rian Johnson said he was not going to be doing Knights of the Republic, that he was going to be doing something completely like
he said a brand new storyline. Yeah,
he
said it.
That's not Knights of the Old Republic then.
Yeah. So what I saw you shaking your head to Knights of the Old Republic, Big Papa Matt.
No, I think Knights of the Republic is that's a game world, man. I don't want to see that go live action, honestly. I don't want to see that get touched by Disney and their soft Star Wars storytelling. I was, we'll talk. I know Ken's going to talk about it later with Rebels and stuff like that. I feel that Disney, they've lost some of their guts with that world. And if you're not willing to put some skin in the game, which Knights of the Old Republic was all about, you had a lot of loss, you had a lot of death. And if they're not willing to go and take those routes, then I don't want them touching it. Knights of the Republic is not hee-haw, happy sunshine Disney time. And that's what a live series on Disney Channel is going to be. And their Disney Channel, their online service, their streaming service, they're going to be Disney with that. They can't let loose with something like that. We were lucky to get Rogue One, where they went for something that's there. And unfortunately, we're going to see it with Solo film. We know what happens at the end of Solo. Han Solo lives. So does Lando. We're not going to have some of that skin in the game, which makes some of these films and some of these pieces so great. And I hope Favreau pushes his weight around a little bit. No pun intended. He's not a big guy like myself, but I hope he does. I hope he goes in there and says, this is a story I want to tell, and I want to have something dark and serious in there. He did some great stuff with Iron Man. I'm really excited for his work that's going to be, he did with Jungle Book. I like that. I thought he went to good places. I don't know if Disney's going to let him do that with Star Wars on their streaming service. I felt Rebels fell soft, honestly, at the end here. And Ken, I know that's your series, man, and I'm a big fan of it as well. But if they're not willing to get nasty with it, especially in an Old Republic world, I don't want to see it.
Okay. Jack Malice in the chat has brought up he wants to see a Thrawn series or a Boba series. Both characters that I want to see as well, I think would be fantastic to see in the live action format. And then Polyfuse, not too happy about what's going on with Disney and Star Wars, it seems. He says that Disney will just milk Star Wars till it's dry and shriveled up. So I think that's kind of true, but at the same time, I think they're giving us some good stuff. So, and he says if they don't give him a Vader hunting the Last of the Jedi trilogy, then nothing's good enough for him.
Well, and
that'd be awesome.
I'll throw my 2 cents on this last one here and stuff, and I think Rogue One, you hit it on the head. Disney let Rogue One happen to what it was, and people are in the chat room talking about Vader going around doing his thing. Well, he did it. Yeah, I mean, he went off on the end of that movie. He was taking people out. He was crushing them, cutting them. Disney allowed that to happen. So I don't see Disney just going totally soft on it. I get what you're saying. It's going to be their streaming service and everything. But at the same time, it doesn't mean they have to totally go soft. And I've seen what happens, the success they got with Rogue One. And Disney's not dumb. They've been doing this for so damn long that if they see something that happens like that, then they're going to figure out another way of doing it. And they're going to try to get it out to the masses. I mean, what better way to get people to subscribe to their Disney Channel thing is if they're producing something like Darth Vader just chopping heads and taking names, So yeah. I don't think
the opportunity to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to push, you're coming into a new service, and if you want to push against Hulu and Amazon and Netflix, you got to be able to attract all types of viewers. You can't go with just the kids and the family friendly. It's not gonna get everybody to come over and spend that extra money to come to your service.
Yeah,
So,
if they get lazy like they have been with their own movies, because I'm sorry, but it is still Disney and Pixar. If they get lazy like they have been with their own movies, but keep recognizing the importance of other people's stories and let them do the work, that's not going to do well for their streaming service. But as for that, and Favreau in particular, I don't think he'd be best suited. I think he'd do well with dark stuff, but I think what would do really well with a new tale by Favreau would be drama and action, not necessarily like dark and grim. Not to keep harping on that point for some reason, but apparently I am. I would like to see another kind of throwback, but tell new stories at the same time. I think Favreau, looking at his Marvel stuff, looking at Chef, it was Chef, right? Stuff like that he's done. I think going back to Mos Eisley and having Favreau do a movie about organized crime in Mos Eisley would be amazing.
Absolutely. I would love something like a level 1313 kind of story from Favreau to get those dark and dangerous kind of times and tales, man. I think Rian Johnson is going to bring a golden age of Star Wars storytelling by doing stuff that's not part of the Skywalker world and go do something dark. It's a chance. It's an opportunity for us. And I think Favreau, if they let him go do some stuff, and I think the story that he would like to tell would get that way.
Yeah,
I think the cantina on Mos Eisley would be a perfect setting for a Star Wars Swingers reboot, man. You Jedi, baby. You're so Jedi.
Well, yeah, going along with that, we don't want to see you be the G guy. We want to see you be the R-rated guy. Like
your Schwartz is as big as mine.
That's what I was going to get to. That's what I was going to ask Nudie Rudy on, because you know, his favorite Favreau project would be Swingers, so which he wrote as well. So. I mean, here's the fear. Does that mean Vince Vaughn's going to appear in his Star Wars series somewhere?
No.
Picture him as the bartender. Boom.
You could really cut a rug to Figure Dan and the Modal Nodes, man. Come on.
But I mean, what do you think? Nudie Rudy is a self-proclaimed Trekkie, so I want to know what his thoughts are on this Favreau going to do something for Star Wars.
Well, in all honesty, I'll forever be grateful to Favreau for insisting on Robert Downey Jr. for Iron Man. That made the entire movie, and that was something at the time on, and then that was genius casting. So I am very happy to see wherever he goes with it. Not even being the biggest Star Wars fan, I am very happy to hear the news, and I think Favreau is a very talented director, and he can do a lot with what he's got.
Yeah. Jack says that if you're looking for an organized crime story, then go to the Bounty Hunter War series to have them do. He also says, don't ask the Trekkie Star Wars anything.
Live long and prosper.
We don't hawk the Trek around here.
Okay, let's move along.
Move along.
Did anybody else start watching the new series that came out yesterday on Netflix, or was it just me?
What new series with that?
Yeah, it was really good actually. Myths and Monsters, man, it is phenomenal. It's kind of like every old tale of like the History Channel that you would love to watch on Netflix. It's phenomenal. I really recommend it to anybody. They do a great story about like Perseus and that kind of stuff. That Homer, it's great, man.
No, Jessica Jones.
Oh yeah, I forgot something else came out. Jessica Jones. Gotcha. Yeah.
Did you start watching any of it?
Hell no. I'm binging this weekend. I gotta have some time, man. If I don't have like a good 12-hour stretch, I'm not gonna make it. I wasn't gonna do that.
13 episodes, so you need 13.
I had to go to work today, and so I told myself I can't watch it tonight. I've got to wait till the weekend.
How about anybody else? Has anybody else checked it out besides me?
I got into about half hour of it and fell asleep.
Oh, that's not a good sign. Hopefully you're watching like 3 a.m.
Well, I've said this before. Jessica Jones, the first time around, it did it it was really dragging for me until the end, and even then, I still had a hard time connecting with the character itself. I mean, it came out right after Daredevil, in between Luke Cage, and she's not your atypical superhero, and she's cranky and drinking, and I don't know. It didn't resonate with me as much at first. At the end of it, though, I really kind of got into it, so I'm looking forward to seeing what the second season does. But it's going to take me probably about a week and a half to get through it, just because I have to warm into it, I guess.
Yeah, I started watching it late at night last night, so got through about 2-3 episodes, and I'm liking it. I'm liking the setup that they're giving us on this one. So it's a different story. It's pretty cool so far.
I will say though, I will say I read one thing though, or just not too long ago. It seems like Marvel is going to start trying to connect the Netflix series in some way or another. I read somewhere that Jessica Jones has a little bit of a connection or foreshadowing in the upcoming movie. So I got to dig into that a little bit deeper. But I've heard this before, but I never saw it happening. So I'm hoping they do something with it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and
Mr.
Jack
Vader
Malice is questioning why you're on the cast, being a Superman fanboy and doesn't like Jessica Jones.
That's because I look better than you do, Jack, and they needed a good face.
And now
I'm wearing the
he knows-
Batman shirt. Yeah,
He's now solidified his place back on the cast. There it is. That's why we love him. He's there for us.
Yeah, and
Well, Mr. Vader
says she'll be binging the cast this weekend, so, right as soon as the cast is over, or binging the show. Go ahead, Igor. Sorry.
What I'm looking forward to for my binge is to see if the one problem I had with it was fixed this time in second season. Because what I was saying to you, Mr. Vader, was you might unknowingly have had the same problem. If you read the comics, very different animal, same character, but she actually gets to Private Eye almost the entire time, and that makes it so film noir. It's great. Basically, think of the more urban crime thriller or like crime action sort of style Daredevil ship, the show and comics. If you liked those, try the comics by Bendis.
cool.
Try that out.
Also, Mr.
And join
Vader's
me
his
in
dad.
looking at season 2.
So,
What's up?
I said Mr. Vader's his dad. He just goes by Vader. So
Can I call you Masonic?
And welcome, Pecan, to the chat room. He is here. Jessica Jones is amazing, he says, and he can't wait to binge season 2. And he is our binger, so we know that when he sets his mind to binging something, he will binge the heck out of it.
Fractured binging.
Yes. But yeah, no, I've been liking it so far. The other reason I wanted to bring it up is that Kristen Ritter, who plays Jessica, actually mentioned that there will not be any more Defenders. Defenders is done. It was a one shot. They're not doing any more. Do you guys think that's a good decision? Do you think that there should have been more setups to do more Defenders series, or what could
They gotta fix Iron Fist first. Iron Fist is dragging that whole series down, man. I mean, Luke Cage was awesome. Looking forward to Daredevil, but yeah, Iron Fist. The actual show sucked because he's just whining around, crying about his family, and I'm the Iron Fist.
why doesn't my
like
fist
him.
work?
I know. I liked him better in Defenders. At least he was a little bit more of a hard ass, but he still sucked. So I wish they could fix that because he's actually a really good part of the Defenders. Fix that, and you could probably bring it back.
Yeah,
Man, I'll meet all of y'all out in the parking lot. Have you ever noticed that was a series that was taken that couldn't decide which series it was, and it was not freaking Danny Rand's fault. It was the fact that we're getting Mad Men, and oh, by the way, over here's a superhero kung fu story. Nothing against the Meachums. They were awesome, but it wasn't the freaking Iron Fist story. Go away.
Absolutely.
Go away. And if you say he sucks, I respect that, but I also say, have you ever watched a kung fu movie?
Of course.
Yeah, and
my goodness.
Well, Super Hoovian says she thinks it's a poor decision because they have the potential to make it amazing, especially with fan feedback.
Yes.
Yeah, very true.
It was the lowest received series on Netflix, but is that what do people think? Because of what Masonic Vader was saying, that it was, it was because of Iron Fist.
you know, I once again, I'm just throwing it back in there. It's just because the plot, the character, the whole idea of what they're trying to do and everything, it's there should have been more kung fu. There wasn't enough of it. That's the problem. And the little bit of it you got maybe about a minute or two each freaking show, is like at the end or something like that. And then the rest of it, it's like, I want my company. It's my name. Oh man, my friends. Oh, there's backstabbing. It just sucked. and
It
they
has
can
its
fix
place,
it. Yeah, yeah.
Just
It's
focus.
I mean, you got to look. Yeah, Daredevil, which was groundbreaking, phenomenal. Luke Cage, I think, was actually solid to the point. Really, really paid homage to a really good character, and I think it's going to be great in the second season. You know, Jessica Jones is much better than Iron Fist, but like I said, I had a little bit of an issue with Jessica at first, but she, at least the plot and everything about it, was still a hell of a lot better than Iron Fist.
No,
I love the first episode when he was still wandering around homeless. That was beautiful. Maybe if they'd had more of a build up that way, you know, literally just him wandering the streets.
Well, and you talk about like if you watch a kung fu movie, right? Like that right there, that solo wandering, that's the antithesis of kung fu movie for me, and I would have loved more of that, but we didn't get it. Danny Rand in Iron Fist is a separate character than what the normal superhero team up is, where it's all right, we get our superhero by himself and he's got to go find all of his buddies to help him out during his crisis, and then, you know, we're gonna go take down the bad guy together, and then we'll have our epic fight at the end. But I don't think Iron Fist, that was a good treatment for that character.
Okay. No, I think you made a good point there. I think they really did deliberately try to turn him into a MacGuffin for the Defenders. I think they tried to make him the MacGuffin for the Defenders, you know?
Yeah. No.
Well, what do you think that they could have fixed with actual Defenders to make it all more solid?
More fighting. The last episode with the freaking fight scene, that was what everybody wanted to see the entire series. That was probably the best episode of the entire one. And it was just watching all four of these guys whooping ass at the same time. And the rest of the series, and where they could have did a little bit better, I think they were really trying to establish the connection, because in the comics, Iron Fist and Luke Cage are buddy-buddy. They're like a 1-2 combination, and they're really good at it. And they were trying to establish that. So I'm hoping one way they could probably fix it is not necessarily ditch Defenders, but maybe try to integrate more of Iron Fist into the second Luke Cage series, because they are great together in the comic books, and try to build that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think there's too much. The biggest thing with the Defenders for me was there was too much of, let's see who can partner up well together, and then this partner will happen, and this partner will happen, and this partner would happen, and it's just pick two to tell a story with, pick the other two to tell a story with on that end, and be cohesive, man. Like, it just, everybody was moving around, I think, just way too much for a 10-episode arc. You know, I think it was way too little a time to tell the story that they were trying to get in there.
So do you think it should have been a longer series then? Maybe 13 episodes or
Yeah, it should have been something that was thought out instead of the cash grab that it was. Defenders was an outcry from the fans, and we got it. Awesome, great. The problem is they had no idea what they were going to do with it. They just did it to do it.
Yeah.
What about you, Nudie Rudy? Did you watch Defenders at all?
No, but I can definitely concur on the Iron Fist sucking.
So that shows you right there that Iron Fist deterred people from coming to watch the Defenders. So that may have hurt it somewhat.
And that's why Nudie Rudy is our top guy when going to pertinent stuff.
Last one of the last stories I want to talk about. We were talking a couple weeks ago about how New Mutants got pushed back an entire year, and it looks amazing and it needs to come out, and not to push it out farther. But they confirmed, one of the actresses from the New Mutants confirmed that part of the reason that it got pushed back a year is they are adding a new character to the story, and not who the character is. I wanted to know if in the chat room you guys can sound off too, but who you think the character is, or who you'd like to see added to the New Mutant story that would flesh out this story a little bit more, where it is a horror film that is a comic book. Igor, I'm going to go to you first because you're our big comic guy.
Oh, that is so hard to tell. I mean, obviously, it's not going to be, well, obviously for everybody who knows who on Earth the New Mutants are to begin with, but it's not going to be Cannonball. He's got a cool power, but he's literally a miner from the southern states
I thought
who
we had
can.
Cannonball in it already, didn't we?
Well, I'm just saying he's not going to be a big drive for horror.
Okay. Yeah.
No, he's not scary. He's cool. He's cool. He's fun, but he's not scary. You know,
Okay.
Sunspot, he'd be good for intimidating scenes, but he's not scary.
Yeah.
Warlock could be scary, but that would be weird to have him in early. They might be doing that, but he was definitely something that fans loved, and the story worked pretty well because he was added after the team was really well established.
Yeah, because the ones we've got so far is we have Magic, which is Colossus's sister. Wolfsbane, Cannonball, Sunspot, and Mirage are the ones that are in there. The only two from the get-go, or that are super popular, that I could think of from B Warlock, or even his partner, who he ends up merging with. Is it
Cypher?
I can't remember his name.
Cypher.
Yeah.
Cypher. Yeah.
You know, so could it be a factor that maybe they're adding Cypher in to set up to do a sequel and have Warlock come in, or
Possibly, because I really, as soon as people were saying, oh, it's been pushed back because they're adding another character, I was thinking, okay, that's interesting. And then started thinking, okay, that's a great way to lose focus, like Marvel and Netflix did with Iron Fist and Defenders, and like Marvel and Fox might be doing with New Mutants. If you finish a movie and then say, oh, let's reshoot scenes so we can, you know, add in a CGI Kurt Russell here and there. I don't know.
so.
But somebody at the end, like a build up for somebody at the end, that could be nice, especially with that team. There are a couple of somebodies.
Well, I would hope for somebody like Warpath to get in there.
Oh.
You know, like that would be my thing. Like you're gonna do horror. You know, they're taking it a dark route. Like he doesn't have to be in the whole film, but make it something at the end. You know, where he shows up, or you know, that's who I would go with. So
I didn't think about Warpath. Warpath would be fantastic to have in there. The other one I was thinking of, besides Cypher, was Marat. Was Karma, because she played a pretty big part at the beginning, and I think she would fit because she mentally possessed other people. I think she would fit for that whole kind of horror throw of things. But something I especially if they followed her story arc that happens in the comics.
And not to mention with that power set, that would, if they're going really heavily psychological, as it seems like they might be, that could be a great way to start throwing monkey wrenches in the works of who's really doing what.
Yeah. So
I think Polyfuse might be onto something, but I don't know if we should mention it.
let's see.
he's going for it. He's going for it. I think he's just looking at the wrong genre.
He's going rogue. He's going rogue.
And he does bring up on the last topic that Colleen Wing made the show decent for Iron Fist, and I agree with that. So that was the best part of Iron Fist, was her in Iron Fist, and then the brother story arc. So
But that's what kung fu movies are about, like the hero like joining in with a band of characters and helping them out. Like that's, you know, like
wait. Kung fu movies are about kung fu, and there was lack of that.
Mm-hmm.
It
That's
was
why
like,
about half of them are just the one guy wandering around like,
Well, Beacon agrees. Daughter of the Dragon was the best part. So
yeah, I'm thinking Iron Fist was like asking for Chinese food and getting freaking Panda Express.
It was more like getting McDonald's with Szechuan sauce poured on that. That was.
Nice.
Let's finish off on this one little bit of note that was released for Action Comics 1000. Since we talk all things nerd, we're going to talk about comic books as well.
And because we love our producer.
Yeah. I want to know if this makes the character worse or better or whatnot. But DC confirmed that Superman is immortal, that he will live until the Earth ends. And in Action Comics 1000, which is not actually 1000, but it's just the anniversary of it. There is a story showing him billions of years later, still alive, recalling how the world and everything went, and his family died, and he's still all good to go, and nothing's happened to him. So, does that make his character better, or does that hurt and turn him into like no consequence, like some people have brought up?
I think Superman's the most shit superhero out there. I definitely, my opinion, I concur with our, chief there, and for exactly that reason, that he's the most generic superhero. Has every power, he can do everything. He's super strong. He can fly. He's invulnerable. All this stuff, and just making him immortal is just another checkbox in the trash pile of power this guy has.
No skin in the game. If there's no threat, what's there. Also, did you guys know Swamp Thing Winter is out? I mean, that's the much better story to talk about here. I mean, they have a great Len Wayne tribute to it in there. I mean, it's just phenomenal. I really recommend it.
All right, I'm gonna put this in here. I'm sorry. This guy was created in 1938, for God's sake. I mean, it was well before any of us, probably three of us put together age-wise, and still, it's coming up to almost 100 years this guy was around. He was the original guy. This was the brainchild of people back from the 30s, when there wasn't a podcast, there wasn't hardly freaking real cars. I mean, you got all these old-ass, like, Bane's just slightly faster than the horse, you know what I'm saying, kind of thing. It was just right after the crash. It was like all this stuff going on, and this character came around because of the fact that it was something for kids to look to start off with. It was a comic book. Kids are reading this. This is awesome. This is better than what the hell is going on in real life 6 years before World War II. You guys are dumping on this guy, but he's the original superhero, for God's sake. And if it wasn't for Superman, most of these comic books probably wouldn't be where they were at. I mean, it was...
Yeah, but if it wasn't for the character developments and writings of like what was going on over at Timely Comics and Marvel, it wouldn't have pressed the better writing for comic books. And he could have started off the whole genre of stuff, but make some stakes. I mean, when you kill him off and then bring him back 6 months later, that's it. Don't make him just immortal. Do something that's gonna make him actually able to die. And now that you're saying, oh, we're showing a story, it's not an Elseworld, we're showing that he does live for a billion years. Now there's like, okay, there's no story that can put anything against him to show that there's any kind of fear of anything.
That's not true. I mean, just because he lives forever, if that's what they're saying, doesn't mean you can't make stories.
I'm really going to need you to take your stick and hoop and go play somewhere else. You're talking about these 1930 things that should be honored and cherished since they've been around forever. I
don't see you out there driving a Model T.
All right. Mr. Masonic, let me tag in on this one. Big Papa. Mr. Rudy, director man, our beautiful producer. Let me go for what's probably the only good line in Batman v Superman. Crime on rise in Gotham. In other news, water wet. Superman's immortal. They actually even specifically laid out, I'm going to reassure you here a little bit, they even specifically laid out that he is literally immortal. You all are nerds and geeks, I know you know exactly what that means, so get your panties out of a bunch. It just means he can't die of old age or sickness. You take his head off, he's still dead. In Superman's case, take him away from the yellow sun, he's also out in space, so he's double dead.
Well, next to a bunch of Krypton, he's dead.
But in this case, as my buddy Mr. Vader here was saying, we're also talking about the guy who kicked off his comic run as the premier superhero, arguably, with not only leaping tall buildings in a single bound, but my favorite part of his very first story. Uses his super hearing to hear this guy beating his wife.
Yeah.
Hops in through the window, says, "Hey, what you doing?" And beats the crap out of him. And then throws him through a wall for good measure. And I say, that's A-okay. Plus, it's still a hell of a lot better idea than they had for the Joker. Because this is just, oh, hey, here's the story you already thought was coming. All right? The Joker was really a demon all this time. Really. No. Right.
Yeah. No, and I'm not against Superman. I actually I have Superman comics. I like some of the stories that are written with him, so I'm not completely bash on the guy. I think it's a poor choice by DC to say, hey, the guy's gonna live forever. There's not, he's not gonna age. He's gonna watch everybody die. I like I said, I think that takes some stakes away from the character.
I mean, he already died once, right? He was already killed. They already had the death of Superman. He came back. I don't know why they needed the announcement, honestly. It was already there. Yeah. So, like Igor said, water is wet, crime in Gotham, Superman's immortal.
And we're getting responses from Polyfuse of when characters were created. We got Superman 1933, Batman 1939, Flash Gordon 1934.
Oh, thank you. I got mixed up because I was reading that Bill and Batman thing. I got mixed up.
Yeah.
But hey, I'll reassure you one last little bit. I remember his 50th birthday. They even had a feature on Supes in Time magazine at the time, believe it or not. It's kind of a fun cover. Take a look online, you'll see it. And among other things, they featured that he's actually getting powered down. And he not only could actually be hurt by missiles and couldn't hear or lift as much as he used to, because literally before the 80s he could sneeze and accidentally destroy galaxies. So they revised him a little bit. And it's DC. They're well known for revising, even though they're not doing any resets anymore. They're going to. So this is just another fun one that they're working with. A good self-contained story, Superman, Batman Generations. Check that out. It was like 4 or 5 issues. That was fun. It just aged them both forward in real time. It was pretty
if you guys really think about it for a second, every type of genre, if you think about it, has some immortal character of some type. They do. I mean, everyone has it. I mean, you've got, you go to your Dungeons and Dragons or freaking Lord of the Rings, they're talking about people living thousands of years. You've got Thanos living for thousands of years. I mean, there's all these people out there that have lived eons, and everyone's dumping on Superman because he's immortal, living on an alien planet that he gets powered by a sun. I mean, come on. Everyone's got it.
That doesn't make him immortal, though. That just makes him long-living, longer than a human, things like that, right? So
the definition of immortality is you won't be killed by old age or disease. It just means you're just going to live forever. Not that you can't be killed, but that you won't just die off.
If you want to
nobody's bitching about Deadpool.
If you want to let us
way
know
tougher than Superman. Thank you.
No doubt. But also the Black Label DC line. I mean, that's going to be I think that'll be a cool way to tell some actual good stories.
Oh yeah,
they're not going to be canon. They're going to be one-offs, and they're going to have some great writers with them. So,
like Milk Wars.
Yeah, Doom Patrol,
and Justice League together at last.
But we can continue this conversation.
I'm so sorry. One thing. Can I just say Doom Patrol has been phenomenal. Written by a guy who I really had no love for his music at all, but Gerard Way from My Chemical Romance writing Doom Patrol is excellent, by the way. So,
and Cave Carson as the cybernetic guy.
Absolutely.
And Polyfuse says Flash Gordon is cooler than Superman or Batman because Queen did Flash Gordon's theme and soundtrack. But if you guys want to continue this conversation, let us know your thoughts on any of the stuff that we talked about. Make sure to send tweets to @MaliceCast on Twitter, and we'd love to continue the conversation. Or you can find us on Facebook, where we have our Facebook group for all things nerd for MaliceCast, and continue the conversation there. We thank you so much for coming tonight. Let's find out where we can follow everybody. Where can we follow you, Masonic Vader?
Okay, so I have to do a quick correction because apparently old age has kept up to me a little bit. Twitter is Masonic Vader, but PlayStation is Masonic Vader 71 because I thought at one point or another it was cool to put my football number in there.
Because that's the age. That's his actual age.
Yeah. Wait, this is Twitch, right? Let me see. Oh no, and also once again, go to Malice Corp, Malice-Corp. And check out the new article I wrote. Once again, it's on a stupid and futile gesture on the beginning of National Lampoon magazine, and what pretty much is the origin of all things 80s, 90s, and current comedy. Please watch it. It's amazing. You'll enjoy it. It'll make you think a little deeper and have you more appreciation for movies like Animal House and Caddyshack.
Yeah. What about you, Nudie Rudy? Where can we follow you?
You can find me in Nudie Rudy on Twitter and on Instagram, and please follow the official Malice Corp Instagram account, people.
And that's at Malice_Corp on Instagram. Igor, where can we follow you?
Please come join Malice Corp, All Things Nerd, and Destiny 2. Got me in there, Mr. Masonic Vader over here, trying to get this guy's help on cracking one of the most interesting riddles in the game so far. I can't answer it yet.
How you play 24 hours straight.
It's called Red Bull and Mountain Dew.
And the list that we are waiting for, get your pens and pencils out and paper. Where can we follow you, Big Papa Matt?
All right. Hopefully everybody get their notes ready. Post-its no longer work. You're going to need a full legal pad to get this one down. So
I'm ready to go. Let's go.
All right. First off, shout out to our fantastic podcast at Nerd Mosh Pit. Follow us at Nerd Mosh Pit on Twitter, as well as you can email us at gmail at Nerd Mosh Pit. Also, Quest for 100, brand new podcast out right now with Beacon. So if you guys are missing Beacon, want to see more of him, want to see more of me, at Quest for Movies on Twitter, Quest for 100 here on Twitch, as well as on iTunes and Stitcher. Make sure to like, subscribe, share for all of those as well. They are fantastic times. We have a ton of fun making them. And you get to hear from two people that are never on these shows on Twitch, from Kenny and Nick for Nerd Mosh Pit. You can follow me at the Big Papa Matt on Twitter. Also, Son of Maku on PlayStation Network, Son of Maku on Snapchat, or Big Papa Matt on Instagram, and Vero, new social media, Vero, Son of Maku on there as well. Enjoy. Thank you guys, and enjoy.
Okay. And make sure to follow everybody here at MaliceCast on Twitter or at Malice Corp. You can follow our producer, Jack Malice, at Jack_Malice on Twitter. You can follow me at Mess5150 on Twitter. We thank you so much for coming. Make sure to come back next Friday at 8 p.m. to talk more things nerd. Follow us for Supernatural on Thursdays and Walking Dead on Mondays at 9 p.m. We appreciate you coming, and you guys keep nerding on.
Later, guys.